Hello everyone, good afternoon, and welcome to today's live Zoo to You. Today's Zoo to You is brought to you by MIFA on behalf of the U Fund College Investing Plan. My name is Lexi, I am an educator here at the Stone Zoo, and today I am here with my slithery friend, Bermuda. And during our chat today, Bermuda here is going to get a chance to work out on some of his enrichment. So I'm going to put him down here so you can watch him slither around on here. I'm going to chat about him a little bit, talk a little bit about snake enrichment as well. And of course, as always, if you have any questions during our chat today, please go ahead and put those in the comments and I will try my best to answer those at the end. So as I mentioned, this is Bermuda, and he is a Pueblan milk snake. He is 5 years old, and he has a sister. Her name is Maria, and here at the Stone Zoo, she lives over in the Sierra Madre area, which is over by Blue the Cougar. If you kind of know that area of the zoo, that's where you can find Bermuda's sister. Bermuda lives in the Animal Discovery Center. So if you've been to the zoo recently, you may have noticed that the Animal Discovery Center is closed, but we are still here inside taking care of him and all of his other snake friends who live in here. So he is a Pueblan milk snake, and he is native to a dry and deserty area throughout central Mexico. So in this kind of area of central Mexico, there are some Mexican states that he is native to, including places like Puebla, Morelos, and Oaxaca. I'm going to see if he's slithering around. Might see if I can get him back on track on the front side of his enrichment, see if he'll maybe work his way down a little bit. Let's see if he wants to go that way. So in their natural habitat, it is unknown around how long they would live in the wild, but here in human care, they can live to be around 20 years old. So you would say he's kind of at his quarter-year age. You may already have known that snakes are a carnivorous species. So if he were to be out in the wild, he would be eating things like rodents, birds, lizards, and maybe even other snakes. I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit as well. Here at the zoo, Bermuda eats mice, and he gets fed a mouse once a week. And something that is really, really cool about snakes is they can eat something as wide as the largest part of their body. And they can eat that piece of food whole. So if you were a snake, if you are able to, you can put your hands on your hips, and if you take your hands and guide them up, here I can show you. If you put your hands on your hips, this is around the widest part of your body, and you bring it up to your mouth, that is as big of a thing you could eat if you were a snake. That's like eating a watermelon whole. It's crazy, but it is what they can do. It is a super cool adaptation that they have. So even though they are carnivores themselves, they can also be prey to things like hawks, eagles, raccoons, and bobcats. Bermuda here is a type of constrictor. So what that means is when he is going after some prey, he is going to squeeze or constrict around that prey. Oop, he went a little behind the scenes action, but he looks like he's coming back. He will constrict his prey until the blood flow to their heart stops, and then he swallows it down whole, like I was just mentioning, if you were a snake. So I just mentioned that he is a constrictor. And so what this means is he's not a venomous type of snake. So now I'm going to teach you a little trick about venomous versus poisonous. So if a snake were venomous, they would have to bite you or bite their prey to make their prey sick. Now, if an animal was poisonous, you would have to eat that thing to get sick. So a snake can't be poisonous because you're not going to eat it and get sick. But if it bit you and you got sick, it would be a venomous type of snake. We'll check in with Bermuda. Hey, buddy. Maybe we'll see if he wants to come around front.
Lexi, can you tell us what Bermuda eats here at the zoo?
Yes, Bermuda eats mice here at the zoo. He gets fed a mouse once a week.
And how do our mice come to us at the zoo?
That is a great question. So our mice come to us here at the zoo frozen. And so they come here, not live, they do come frozen, and we thaw them out, and they are offered to our snakes, and they will still act really similarly. They will constrict around them and eat them whole, but it is fed to them already dead.
And can you tell us a little bit about how Bermuda got his name? Because this might be a really good chance for folks at home to see it on his body.
Absolutely. So Bermuda has a really, really cool adaptation. Maybe you can see it on the top of his head. He has a little white marking that looks like a triangle. And so he was named Bermuda after the Bermuda Triangle. Pretty clever, if I do say so myself. You might also notice he's sticking his tongue out a little bit. And if you know anything about snakes, they can smell with their tongue. And their tongue is actually forked at the end, which means it can go in two different directions. And this is really, really cool because with that smell and that ability to smell in two different directions, they can kind of go around and figure out if there is good prey in one direction versus another, which is really, really cool. Looks like he's trying to visit with some of our other ambassadors here in the Animal Discovery Center.
And Lexi, I do have one last question.
Yeah.
We know that milk snakes are a type of king snake, and we're actually getting a view of our California king snake, Diego, as well. Can you just tell us what that term king snake means?
Absolutely. So Bermuda here is a type of king snake, and what this means is that he can actually eat other snakes, even venomous ones. So that is what makes him a type of king snake, and other king snakes, like our California king snake that you were just looking at, they're able to eat other snakes, even venomous ones, which is really, really cool. So I wanted to talk about their adaptations. So you might notice that he has these really beautiful colors on his body. And so these colors look really similarly to the venomous coral snake. And there's an easy way to tell the difference if you're looking at a constrictor milk snake like Bermuda or a venomous coral snake. So if you look, there's a little rhyme that kind of goes with this. So if you see on his body, we see the red touches black. So the saying goes, red touch black, friend of Jack. He is a constrictor. If it is red touch yellow, which we don't see on him, the saying goes, red touch yellow, kill a fellow, meaning he is a venomous type of snake. So that's an easy way to tell the difference, but Bermuda here is using something called mimicry with these colors, which means he's mimicking the coloration of a venomous snake, which can be tricky for other animals because they might not know that difference. So as I mentioned, we are going to talk a little bit about enrichment for our snake Bermuda. So Bermuda here is seen on a really lovely type of enrichment that we like to call a pegboard. And it is made of little pieces of birch tree, and he is able to climb all over it. And the way that snakes move is something called lateral undulation. And what this means is all of the muscles kind of along their body become activated, and they constrict and they release, and that is how they move. And so for Bermuda to be climbing up and down this structure, it's able to work those muscles for him really, really well. This is something that we call physical enrichment. There are other types of enrichment that our snake can get. So something else that we could do in his enclosure here, we could mix up the substrate or the mulch that is in his enclosure. This would kind of give him a different kind of feeling when he is kind of slithering around. We could also move around the things inside of his enclosure so it looks a little bit different. He has a little piece of bark in his enclosure that he really likes to hide underneath. And something we could do is we could move that around and we could give him a different place in his enclosure to hide in. So that's something a little bit different for him. And even doing things like handling him, taking him out for programs, for classes and things like that is a type of enrichment for them. It gives them a different environment. It gives them a sense of how they feel in our hands and things like that. And then one other fun fact I wanted to talk to you about as I kind of bring Bermuda back around up top is their name, milk snake, comes from an old folklore tale. And so the tale goes that farmers were seeing these snakes slither into their barns during the night, and the next day when they would go to milk their cows were not giving them any milk. So they were thinking that these snakes were sneaking into their barns and drinking all the milk from the cows, which we know is not true because milk snakes are carnivores. They're not going in and drinking milk, but that is the old tale where they get their name. Katie, do we have any other questions in the chat?
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
If they were not drinking the milk in the barns, why were they going into the barns where all of the cows were kept?
That is a great question. So they were probably heading into those barns because the mice were living in there. The mice that the snakes were trying to eat were living in there. So they were sneaking in and getting those mice at night. And they are a mostly nocturnal species as well. So they were kind of going in at night. That was their time to hunt, and that is what they were going in to do. All right, well, that is all the time that Bermuda and I have for today. So thank you all so much for tuning in to today's Zoo to You. Again, today's Zoo to You is brought to you by MIFA on behalf of the U Fund College Investing Plan. We will see you next time. Bye.